from my heart and from my hand. Why don't people understand my intention?
Computer running slow?
I'm waiting.
Caught a virus? Does your computer seem to have a life of its own?
Malfunction. Need input.
The computer guru is here.
Thank God you're here!
Call in now.
Now it's Mike Swanson, your computer guru.
Well, hello there. Welcome to the Computer Guru Show, 790-2040 if you want to be part of the show. My name is Mike, and I'm here to deal with your technology needs and treat you like a person in the process. Yeah, because that's what I do. So give us a call, 520-790-2040 if you'd like to talk about whatever technology issues are ailing you. Now, first thing we're going to do is a little bit of follow-up from last week's show. And there was a statement I made about RoboForm. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, there's been some hacking involved with the, bypassing of security on the RoboForm. And as it turns out, I wasn't wrong.
Go figure.
All right, so a customer or listener had written in and said, hey, I heard last week's show, and then I called RoboForm, and they said they haven't been hacked. And, well, that's not true. So I'm actually putting a link up on the Guru Show Facebook page that has the details of the article, tells you, what's going on there. And it even shows a video of someone bypassing the security and stealing all the passwords out of that list, out of another person's RoboForm list. It's pretty interesting to watch. We'll just go ahead and throw that out there. Now, I have to say that it has been patched since. That has been fixed where this vulnerability doesn't exist anymore, but it certainly did.
Yeah.
And so that's my only problem. Now, LastPass has also been hacked, and they have subsequently fixed their problem. So you just got to keep on top of which ones have had their issues. And a good place to look for this is hackernews.com. I mean, you think, well, that's kind of a silly name, but they talk about exactly what you think they would talk about, and all the places that have been hacked or vulnerabilities have been found. And most of them are coordinated, meaning that anytime vulnerabilities are found, there's two different ways of dealing with those types of vulnerabilities. The first one is you just throw it out into the world and say, guess what? I found this giant hole, and everybody knows about it immediately.
Yep. Or
there's a coordinated, which most people do coordinated releases, where they say, as an example, with like LastPass. We know that LastPass got hacked, but the people that found the vulnerability went to LastPass first and said, hey, guess what? We found this hole, and we're giving you, a month to fix it before we release this information out into the world. And it helps in a couple of different ways. And, I'm not sure whether or not I prefer the full disclosure method versus the coordinated, but most people tend to go with the coordinated to give the vendors an opportunity to fix their stuff before it makes it out there into the larger picture of things.
Larger picture
of things.
Gives them a chance to fix it.
Yeah.
Fix it.
Yeah. Speaking of things. Mm-hmm. What about the Internet of Things? We talked about that last week.
Yes, we did a lot.
And I said, people should update their firmwares.
Yep.
Plurals on their firmware. And so, did you notice that the Internet went down yesterday?
I didn't.
Like the services within the Internet. How about you? Yeah.
Very splotchy. I mean, you go into major sites like Amazon or somewhere like that, it just... CNN.com just took 2.5 minutes to load up.
Spotify, Twitter. Let's see what else. There's a big list.
There's a whole bunch.
One of our apps at work actually was serviced by DYN.
All right.
Who was the one that was the denial of service, and that was hit hard.
It's Twitter, SoundCloud, Spotify, Shopify, and a whole bunch of others.
Yeah. Well, basically, a large portion of cloud-based services. As an example, there was a couple of clients locally. They called and said, we can't process credit cards. So we're in the middle of our lunch rush trying to sell pizzas, and we can't process credit cards. And I'm like, yeah, you're going to have to wait it out. Yeah, that's all there is to it. There was a really large attack on DYN, which is one of the primary targets, and they provide dynamic DNS services for cloud-based things like Twitter and
Reddit,
yeah.
GitHub, Box, Zoho, PayPal, Airbnb,
Right.
Wired.com.
Lots of places.
Big names.
Yeah.
Right, and most of them are on the Amazon hosted, Amazon Web Services. So it was a huge attack on Amazon. Now there is lots of speculation as to why this happened, but one of the things that they sort of know is the how. And a big portion of it was an infection that we talked about a few weeks ago when it came to Internet of Things. That was infecting things like that refrigerator or your thermostat that you have at your house that happens to be internet connected. And all of these devices worldwide were attacking the DYN service to take down Amazon. And so, the writing was on the wall. We said update your stuff right now. It's one of those things to think about, is that there is the security stuff we talk about, and we get accused all the time of being sort of doom and gloom, right? They're like, all you guys talk about is all these threats and these terrible things that can happen. Why don't you talk about the happy stuff? And we try to talk about some of the happy stuff, but there are large threats that are looming, and the stuff that we talk about, even though we generally try to be funny and humorous about the stuff that's out there, it's not that like it's not a credible threat, right? If you have firmware devices in your home, like routers, especially a lot of people tend to have like 5 or 6 year old routers.
Yeah.
And we know that those have huge vulnerabilities in them, allow the router to be turned into basically a data collection unit or a way for people to route traffic through your internet connection, or just to get the usernames and passwords and listen in on your network traffic. So that's just one of the simplest ones. You get your firmware updated. Now, Tara, you say you found a utility for this? We don't know how much we trust it yet?
Yeah, I don't know personally how much it can be trusted. But yes, there is actually something to see if your Internet of Things devices have been infected with anything.
So it'll scan the local network and look for vulnerabilities.
Basically, yeah.
Okay. Well, what I'll do is I will check it out this weekend, and then we will, if it gets the guru stamp of approval, then
Well, like I've never heard of Bullguard.
then we'll put it.
That's what this is.
I'll check it out this weekend, and if you watch the socials, we'll be able to put it up there, and you can scan your own network and see what's going on. We should scan this network while we're here, see what happens.
I've tried to scan this network for other things, and it freezes in the middle, so I don't think that's going to happen.
Don't touch anything right now.
Oh, let's go ahead and take a call. Let's talk to Mark. Hey, Mark, how are you? You got to click on it still. See? There we go. Hey, Mark.
There we go. Now I'm on.
Yeah, you are. How can I help you?
2 questions. First, I switched recently, well, actually a couple months ago, from CenturyLink to Cox. I thought that'd be a great thing to do. And so far, I've spent the last several months dancing around with Cox. I finally convinced them to give me a dual-core router. And then spent a few hours on the phone talking to tech support and convinced them to let me talk to somebody who could tell me how to switch bands so I can get off the band that my neighbor's on, because he has a router that I really, really want, because it's great. But I still have 2 devices that constantly drop the signal, can't hold my signal for anything, but they're older devices. Is there such a thing as an update or drivers or something that I need to download for those devices so that they can stay connected to my router?
What kind of devices are we talking about?
One is a Mac computer, and the other one is a really, really old, not an Apple, the other cell phone. Gee, I just lost that one in my head.
Okay.
But one is a cell phone, and one is a Mac computer.
All right. So you've got a really old cell phone and a Mac computer.
Right.
And what kind of signal strength are you getting where those devices reside?
What do you mean by signal strength?
I mean, you're connecting wirelessly, right?
Yes.
All right. And usually there's a meter bars? How many bars are you getting?
Oh, they're usually getting 2 or 3 bars when they're hooked up. But like the Mac computer, as soon as you shut it off, it disconnects. It unhooks, and you have to go looking for the Wi-Fi again, and then rehook to it.
Okay.
And it's the same with the phone also.
Is it also Apple? Is it an iPhone?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Because that's what I thought, that maybe it was just Apple devices, but one is the Mac and then the other one is a Droid. So
the question I have for you is that while you're using them, do they drop, or is it just when you turn them off and then you have to go find it again?
The Mac drops whenever you shut it off.
Okay.
The Droid drops while you're using it.
Okay. So for the Mac, there's a setting in your Wi-Fi connections that tells it whether or not it should automatically connect to this network, and that's probably turned off on there. And it's pretty easy to do on the Macs as far as to make it so that they don't automatically connect. So if you go into the network settings in the Mac and find that network. And then there's a little checkbox there that basically says automatically connect to this network, and you want to make sure that it's in there. Otherwise, it's going to make you search for it every time.
Right, which is basically what it's doing right now.
Now, as far as the Android is concerned, is this an active cell phone, or is it just like an old cell phone that's just still around?
It is an active cell phone.
And how old is it? What brand or model is it?
I don't even know. My wife's ex bought it on the internet about 6 months ago, and it's probably one of those that's 3 or 4 years old.
Okay. So my guess is that, well, first of all, you bought something used on the internet, but the thing I'm going with here is that the wireless standards have changed over the last few years, and so there is some backward compatibility, but those older devices get really temperamental. So I would first of all check to make sure there aren't any firmware updates for the phone to see if that helps.
Okay.
Beyond that, I don't really know what to tell you other than it could be looking for competing signals. So you should make sure that it's not trying to connect to any other networks other than your own.
It is trying to connect to my neighbor. Like I said, one of my neighbors has a really, 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 really great signal that overrides mine. But now that I've got a dual-core modem and then switched bands, I spent several days switching bands until I'm finally off of his signal. So all my other devices work great. These are the only two I'm having problems with. So maybe with the Droid, I just need to go and find updates. Then that's what I was wondering about. If there are updates available.
There should be, unless it's sort of a no-name, sort of Chinese knockoff brand.
Right.
And so with those, there may not be. But the other thing to look at is making sure that you are on a completely different channel than your neighbor, as far as his router is concerned.
That's what I'm trying to do at the moment, yes.
And there's a utility you can get for the phone, which will help you with this process. It's called Wi-Fi Analyzer for Android. It's a free utility. You can put that on the phone, and it'll tell you all the details you ever wanted to know about all of the wireless networks around you. It'll tell you which channel they're on, what their signal strength is, their operating system, all kinds of different things.
Cool.
And that'll help you find the best frequency to be running on.
Okay.
So give that a shot and see if that helps out.
All right, I'll give that a shot. Second question. I usually listen to KBOI on my cell phone.
Right.
And something happened a couple of weeks ago where normally I go to KBOI.com, and then I click on Listen Live, and another screen pops up with a little bar in the middle that says, we're the click on here to play or whatever. But when it clicks over to when that other screen opens, that middle box is missing now.
Yep.
What happened?
Well, it's a Flash player problem. And we've noticed this with a couple of different people who've called in and said they try to listen to the show streaming or listen to the station streaming, because you can just go to gurushow.com and actually listen to the show streaming, because we use a different player. But as far as the KVOI site is concerned, they have some sort of a Flash player problem, which I'm assuming will get updated and turned into something else.
So it's them, not me.
It's not you.
Okay.
I mean, technically it is you, but it's more them.
Well, yeah.
So
I figured since you're the computer guy and you're on that station, you know it was wrong.
yeah, but they don't talk to me, so it's. No, I'm just kidding. It's one of those things. They have their internal IT, and I'm sure they're working on it. So.
All right, great.
All right. Well, thanks for the call. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and then thank you for your store. By the way, I had my computer there a couple months ago to have some work done on it. You guys did a wonderful job, and I'll see you guys when I'm ready to buy a new one.
Yeah, go ahead and break your computer and bring it down and help us keep the show in the air. The income helps. But let's take a moment to mention our sponsor, which is also income. That would be Perfection Auto Works. You can check out their website at perfectionautoworks.com. Take your vehicle down there and visit the wonderful people down there at Perfection Auto Works. Get on the list. Get your 26-point inspection for free.
Free.
And we're stepping into the colder months now, so that means that you're supposed to do some type of maintenance.
Are we? Because it doesn't feel like it.
Well, it's cooler at night now than it has been.
Okay, I'll give you that.
And you know how it works here.
Yeah.
It's going to be, summer, spring, winter.
Yes.
Right? There is we get the 2 days of nice weather.
Pretty much.
And then the rest of it is we're freezing. So before it gets to freezing, you should get your car looked at, get them to take care of it down there at Perfection Auto Works, and thank them for sponsoring the Computer Guru Show. We'll be right back.
Your computer guru, Mike Swanson, is here to help you tame that beast of a machine. Join the chat right now at gurushow.com or call in. This is the Computer Guru Show on KVOY, The Voice. Your technology guru, Mike Swanson, is answering all your questions one by one.
Yes, science!
So chime in with yours. The website is gurushow.com. Tune in, click in, and kick back. This is the Computer Guru Show.
Welcome back to the Computer Guru Show. My name is Mike, here to deal with your technology needs and treat you like a person in the process. 790-2040 if you want to be part of the show. Now, we mentioned that there was, a large internet outage, mostly due to Internet of Things. And do you know where that all started, which we talked about last week, which was printers. Mm-hmm. Printers on the network. And it turns out that there's all kinds of gnarly things that you can do with just a printer sitting on the network, because the printer itself, that little card that connects it to the internet, it's pretty nearly a full computer. It's just sitting there waiting for prints or other commands to do things on the network. As an example, it could be trained to listen for things and, watch out for passwords. Yeah, there's all kinds of things that can happen there. So one of the things that you should definitely be updating the firmware on is any network-connected printer. Because I'm sure, like with Brother printers, definitely with Brother printers, but with HP printers, there's a notice that pops up and it says, hey, guess what? There's a new firmware available. How about you install it? Mm-hmm. And most people say no. You should say yes. Yeah. Wasn't that a Budweiser commercial? Instead of saying no, you should say yes or something?
I have no idea.
Anyway, all right, let's take a call here. Let's talk to you, Patricia. Hello, Patricia. How are you?
I'm fine. How about you?
Lovely.
Okay. I have a Hewlett-Packard printer. It's an OfficeJet Pro 6835. We got it about 6 months ago. It was working just fine. Yesterday, it started skipping on the black printing. This morning, I was working on it. Now I get no black printing. I have put in a new cartridge. I have cleaned the print heads through the printer software with alcohol and a Q-tip. Nothing. Zero. I put in both the old one that showed it's about at least a good third or a third full yet, and the new one, and neither of them work. Any suggestions?
Okay, and you're still getting color on the prints?
Yeah, the color is beautiful. Wonderful, fine. And I did the alignment test, and that's fine. I just can't get this print to print black.
And it's not giving you any type of cartridge error, right?
Nope.
Okay.
Except when I change them, and it tells me that both of them have been used before.
Okay.
Which is true. They've both been in a few times now.
And what happens if you run like an alignment test or a primer test?
Okay, the first time I did it, everything looked fine until I got down to the very bottom, and there were like 3 green bars, and then it had some arrows, and it said if you see any white lines. There was just, and it was really hard to see the white lines on the bottom of that one, but I did. So that's when I did the printer alignment, ran through another test, and still had the same problem. Cleaned the printer, ran through another test, and didn't get anything. Then before we were at least getting spotty black.
Mm-hmm.
What else did I do? And then I did use the alcohol thing, and then and since then everything just comes out blank sheets of paper. But when I do the color comes out fine.
Let's go ahead and cover that first thing, this first, which is don't use alcohol on the printer heads.
Okay. Somebody told me that was a good idea.
Nope, not a good idea. Don't do it.
Okay.
Mainly because it can get in there and it kind of wicks up through the print head and will end up contaminating the ink, and a lot of times that stuff will just short out the print head. So you don't want to do that.
No.
Now, most of the time that we see this where black just stops printing altogether, it usually has something to do with the contacts on the back of the HP print heads. Now, with your printer, is it just tanks that you have, or is it you have individual print heads that you can pull out?
Well, we have individual cartridges. Now, when you're talking about tanks, you kind of lost me there.
Okay, so when you put ink in the printer, do you do it from the front of the machine or do you do it from the top?
Top.
Okay, so you have replaceable cartridges. And so there's a bunch of little copper pins behind that cartridge.
Right.
And a lot of times we'll see where those get dirty, or they're like a piece of tape or something will get in there, and it will prevent the thing from printing altogether. Now, generally, it'll give you some type of a print head error at that point. But if you're not getting that, I'm wondering if this has something to do with that, the time bomb that happened with the HP printers a few weeks ago, where they basically they have a firmware problem that needs to be dealt with. Have you checked for updates for the printer yet?
No, why would I do something smart like that?
I would say start with, let's see if there's a firmware update for that printer.
Okay.
Now, if you go to hp.com and you go to the support pages for that particular printer model, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a firmware update for that.
Okay, so if I just type in HP.
Now, there may be an HP updater software on your computer already, because sometimes that gets installed with the printer. And that might give you the opportunity to update that printer as well.
Oh.
I would start with an update before we start moving into the, hey, you've got a disposable printer, conversation.
Okay. Now, one of the things I have to tell you is if there's updates that need to be done, I am part of a religious community, and we have an administrator, and I can't get into any of that.
Printer updates shouldn't require administrative.
Okay.
Admin access shouldn't be required for a printer update. However, if it is, then you're going to have to call that admin.
Right.
And see if you can get that in. Or if you have another computer that you own rather than the religious community, you could just plug the printer into your computer that you own, like a laptop, which doesn't have that restriction, and you could update the printer.
Oh, okay. Now, what I'm getting here when I checked on the thing for the HP update, it says no new updates available.
Right. So go to the HP website, go to the support pages, look for a firmware update for that printer, because I bet there is.
Okay.
We're not doing that on the phone, though, Patricia.
Okay. Okay, so I can't do that while we're talking.
No, well, it makes for very boring radio if we do that.
Oh, yeah, we don't want to do that.
Right,
we want the people to enjoy you because you really have a good show.
Well,
actually, you have a great company. You people are the best.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And so give that a shot and let me know how it works out. You can call back if it turns out that you need additional help. That's what we're here for. And in the meantime, we're going to take a break. So thank you for your call, Patricia.
Thank you for your help.
Have a lovely day. We'll be right back after we listen to a little bit of Van Halen here, and then we'll answer more of your questions. See, now all my flavors are guaranteed to satisfy. Yes, I'm your ice cream man.
Whether you're dealing with hardware installation or, heaven forbid, a virus,
No! No!
Mike Swanson is answering all your questions one by one. So call in or chat in with yours. The website, gurushow.com. Tune in, click in, and kick back. This is the Computer Guru Show on AM 1030 KVOY The Voice. Mike Swanson, your computer guru, is just a click away. Listen and watch at gurushow.com. This is the Computer Guru Show on KVOI The Voice.
So many leaked emails out in the world.
Yeah.
You know, and you've got people that are publicly denouncing Wikipedia on the news. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
There was they were basically interviewing a senator standing outside, Capitol Hill, and they're like, "Well, what do you think about all this email leaks?" And they're like, "I want to formally denounce Wikipedia."
What? Wrong one, guy.
And so Wikipedia is apparently the hacking arm of the Russian intelligence.
Oh man.
It seems to me as it's just as bad from a technological standpoint as the other senator that was really worried about a military buildup in Guam because he thought that the island of Guam might flip over.
You know what? And that's why
It might capsize because of the weight of the military equipment.
Politics is not my wheelhouse, specifically because of stupid things being said. I can't take it.
Now, I'm just curious. What do you really have to think about the structure of Earth that you could think that an island would capsize if you put a bunch of heavy equipment on it?
Well, obviously you think it's an island that islands float, and they aren't connected to the crust of the
And then my
Earth.
other question is, how do you become a senator if you think that?
I guess science isn't really their thing.
I'm just saying.
Or tech. Or public speaking's half the time.
Right? All right, and we know that was a 13-year-old kid sort of hacked the FBI last year, and you know how they did that, right? It was a targeted phishing exploit,
right?
Or they call it spear phishing, right? So yeah, all right, that works, and you think that that somebody would recognize that is something that they should be looking out for,
yes,
and not click on those things. Well, when it comes down to, as an example, Colin Powell and Mr. Podesta, who are in the news because of their email leaks. So guess how they got their passwords to get into their email?
How?
It was spear phishing. I mean, you wouldn't have thought it. You wouldn't have guessed they would have clicked on a link.
Not in a million years I wouldn't have guessed that.
No. And so apparently they got all click happy and just clicked on the link that appeared to be coming from Gmail, but wasn't. And effectively gave up all of their email.
I am face palming so hard right now.
Atomic face palm. Oh, man. Speaking of atomic face palms.
Do I need another one?
Let's go ahead and talk about the technological rhetoric that's happening when it comes to the United States and things like, I don't know, Russia.
Oh, yes.
Now, I have to just go ahead and throw this out there, is that one of the main theories as to why things happened yesterday with the internet going down was because there seemed to be a coincidence of armed guards showing up at the embassy where Assange is. Yeah, and when they showed up there, the internet started going down, and then everybody left, and internet came back up again.
Funny how that works. So
there's a mild coincidence there. I'll wear the tinfoil hat for a minute just to go with that for a moment. And I saw a bunch of articles that were saying, well, Assange is saying that, he's about transparency and he wants to make sure that the information is out there in the world. And if that were true, then he would just release everything rather than having these time strategic sort of releases. And
disagree.
My thought on this is, if you just dump everything in the world, you don't necessarily have much value to be alive. So I'm wondering if there's a certain amount. I'm wondering if there's a certain amount of, we're going to go ahead and put out the stuff that the people are ready for here, and we're going to hold something back so that you don't murder me in my sleep.
There you go.
And I think that there's something to that. Now, I'm sure the truth lies somewhere in the middle. I'm sure that Assange has some bias when it comes to the election this year, and it could be because there's a bunch of evidence that is saying that most everyone on the Democratic side of the aisle has been trying to figure out how to murder Assange. Yeah. So I'm wondering if there's a certain amount of, these people want to kill me, so I might want to throw out some emails to sort of say how bad these people are. And I'm sure, and this is the part that, the article was going on about, well, you'd better be careful because it could be the other side of the aisle next, and which is true. And I think that is one of those things where, how about you just not be terrible people?
No one is safe.
Everyone is safe, right? It's try not to be a nozzle, right?
Yeah.
Just try to be a decent human being that's not up to no good, trying to do pay for play or trying to extort the people of this country.
Then you can't be in politics. That's like a prereq.
You got to be just a terrible, terrible person to be in politics?
From what I've seen.
Well, we could, I guess if we're basing it on this year's election. Yeah.
Seems to be the prerequisite.
Yeah.
Or you got to be just dumb, just like...
There's that, too.
What's Aleppo?
Johnson, why? Why?
Oh, man.
Killing me, Smalls.
I'm just telling you.
Isn't it a little mouse or something?
Yeah.
Geppetto. Or
Yeah.
Geppetto. Or...
Aleppo, you're going to be a real boy.
Oh, no. No, that's not cool.
That's how you become a real politician.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, that is the worst. Anyway, so there are additional leaks out there that say that the CIA is planning a scenario for attacks upon the Russia.
How many 13-year-olds did they have to get for this attack?
Here's the problem with, we've talked about this before, is that you end up with people, if you really want good talent, you're going to have to, if you want to be able to pull off hacking stuff, you have to be able to put down the whole, you've never told a lie.
Yeah.
Right? Or...
they've got waivers.
You've never smoked pot.
They've got waivers for that.
Yeah.
They've got waivers for all the things if you're important enough.
Yeah, but I don't know. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk about more of whatever you guys want to talk about. That's what we're here for. We'll be right back.
Computer troubles? Need some advice? Call in now. Mike Swanson will be back after these messages. The Computer Guru Show, AM 1030, KVOY, The Voice.
From my heart and from my hand, why don't people understand my intention?
Computer running slow?
I'm waiting.
Caught a virus? Does your computer seem to have a life of its own?
Malfunction. Need input.
The Computer Guru is here.
Thank God you're here!
Call in now.
Now it's Mike Swanson, your Computer Guru.
Welcome back to the Computer Guru Show. My name is Mike, here to deal with your technology needs and treat you like a person in the process. And seeing Tom's been really patient, waiting for a really long time. Let's start with Tom. Hey, Tom, how are you?
Hi. Thanks for taking my call. Well, thank you again. Two questions. One is about 6 or 5 years ago, maybe, got DSL modem from CenturyLink, and I heard you guys talking about password protection, and I've heard other people talk about administrative accounts. So it came with maybe a 30-hex password on the back.
Right.
Seems pretty random, which seems pretty protective, that we have to put in to remotely log in through wireless devices.
Right.
So I heard, though, there could be an administrative account that people could get into.
Well, it's not necessarily even an administrative account that you're worried about. What you're worried about is an exploit of that particular modem, which allows them to gain control of it without ever typing any type of password or using any real account. And
So how would they exploit it if it does have this 30-character hex password.
Oh yeah, and 30-character hex passwords are easy to break. But they can send commands at it, right? They can say, hey, router, identify yourself to me, and they use a very specific special command, and the router will respond with, hey, thanks for authenticating. We'll go ahead and let you into all your stuff now.
Even without putting that password in?
Yeah, no password, no account, nothing. They can just remotely control that router without any type of login if you've got an out-of-date modem or router.
So is this a router or a modem? Are you saying it's the same thing?
Well, DSL uses something called a modem.
Yeah.
And all of them use a modem, but with DSL you typically have a combination modem-router.
Right.
And so if you have a separate router, you should update that separately. But you can go to DSLreports.com. You can check out whether or not your modem is affected. And there's also an update site. If you log into the modem itself and go to the firmware update section, it'll tell you which website to go to get the most up-to-date recent firmware for your particular modem.
And that will prevent what you talked about, someone trying to exploit it?
Well, it'll definitely take care of any of the known exploits.
Okay.
And if there's some unknown ones yet to be found, of course it won't deal with those. But you should just make sure that they're up to date. I'm saying for routers and modems, you should probably do an update at least once a year. Probably every 6 months.
So this thing doesn't come with automatic updates or requests. I never see anything, hell yeah, you need to update your modem. It just sits there.
Yeah, it'll never tell you.
Yeah. Okay.
There's only one brand of routers that I know that does that, which is the Netgear Blackhawk series, or Nighthawk series, and they will tell you that you need an update. But everything else pretty much is just going to sit there and not bother you until you go in and manually check for them.
Okay, thanks. On the second question, Internet Explorer, you talked about saying don't use. I went to Windows 10, and sometimes I get attachments or try to open PDF files from the internet. I'm using Chrome, and then it'll open within Internet Explorer.
It'll open in Edge, right, by default.
Yeah.
So if you have...
Do you recommend to stop that?
Yeah, I mean, that just complicates things. So you can set your default PDF reader to Acrobat or Reader or even Chrome if you want. So I would say, as much as you can, avoid Edge or Internet Explorer, at least for now.
Is it possible to remove Edge?
You cannot remove Edge, but you can disable it. You can make it so it won't run.
Okay.
But it's not a pretty process to do it. So just for as much as you can, just set your defaults to something else and then not deal with it.
Excellent. Great. Thank you very much.
All right. Appreciate the call, Tom. So now that we managed to kind of, segue off the topic of politics.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and talk about how the NRSC, if you don't know who they are, the National Republican Senate something or other
Committee,
yeah.
National Republican Senatorial Committee.
Yeah, they sell all kinds of like Republican swag on their website and their store. And for the last 6 months, there's been a card skimmer on there. So if you bought any swag from that particular site, your credit cards were sent directly to Russia. And
$30 a pop. Yeah, Russian PayPal took $30 a pop for your info.
There you go. So yeah, those card skimmers, man, they're out there.
Even online.
Yeah, even on the internet. I mean, less so on the internet, it seems.
Yeah.
But
well, usually people that have online stores have like trusted, things that they do, and they're pretty good with their online stores and making sure that their customers' information is going to be protected.
I guess. Aren't these people the ones that are responsible for helping write the laws about being PCI compliant?
Probably.
I'm just saying.
Probably.
Anyway, so if you got like a Never Hillary, front yard sign, or basically things I've seen in people's front yards that these guys sell, you probably gave up your credit card information and should probably do something about that.
At least look into it.
Yeah, I mean, just ask a couple of questions. Yeah. So irritating. Okay. Yeah, I get bent out of shape because it's like, come on, people. It's how do you mess that up, really? In order to have an online store, I mean, there are rules. There are very specific rules about what you're supposed to be doing when you're handling the credit card information of others. And I mean, I don't get me wrong, it happens. All right, we have the Home Depot, Target, you know, even Lowe's, I think, had something going on there for a while. There are plenty of man-in-the-middle attacks when it comes to these types of things, even though everybody's following the rules. But, you know, you never know when you have a disgruntled employee that's going to, like, you know, put some bad stuff on your network or whatever. But still, you're supposed to be running, according to the PCI compliance, which, you know, we deal with lots of businesses where we help them with their PCI compliance reports every year, every 6 months, depending on how often they have to do it. And one of the questions on there that they're really emphatic about is, do you do regular security checks on your network to make sure that there is no badness going on? And of course, everyone has to answer yes, because they want to be able to take credit cards. And so that means that they're lying. Even the people who are making the rules about PCI compliance are obviously not doing regular security checks. At least not as regular as they should be.
Yeah.
And considering how, you know, they've got kind of a not the greatest reputation according to the internet, meaning politicians in general.
Yes.
You think that they would be doing more often. They should probably do this like every day. Just pay some IT dude to run network scans every day. There you go.
You would think they'd be doing that already, but
no. Apparently they don't do it at least every 6 months.
Yeah.
Right, because that's how long that thing was on there.
Well, and they didn't even catch it. It was a Dutch firm that caught it.
Oh, so they weren't doing it at all, right?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And we wonder why Guam's going to flip over. That's all I got to say.
Speaking of international countries,
what about them?
Did you hear about China?
What about China?
And what they're
Did they
doing
flip
now?
over?
No, they did not flip over. But they are stealing Kickstarter ideas and launching them faster than the Kickstarter can end.
I mean, that's not a bad idea, especially if you know you're China and you just don't care.
Yeah, they're doing it well, I guess.
Yeah, so they're just browsing Kickstarter, finding some good ideas, and saying, "Well, we can build that."
Yep. They launch it faster than the Kickstarter can even get the money to launch. So.
Wow.
It kind of sucks for the people on Kickstarter. But that's one of those, do you really want to put your idea out there for someone to steal type of deals too?
I guess the question is why would Kickstarter even be available in China? I mean, why doesn't Kickstarter just say, well, you know, we're obviously not going to get any real donors from China for a Kickstarter campaign. Why don't we just block China? It's making it so they can't see it. I mean,
I don't know.
I'm really curious how Kickstarter is going to respond to this, or if they are. If they're just going to be like, yeah, just don't put your ideas on here. I don't think that's a good business model for them. I don't think it would work out for Kickstarter all that well.
No.
Here's an idea, Kickstarter. Just don't have ideas anymore. Go bankrupt. And I'm kind of a mixed mind when it comes to the Kickstarter stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Because most of it is just, it's a scam or it's crap.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, oh yeah, we're going to go ahead and make a doorknob that opens automatically whenever you eat a banana smoothie or something, right? It's just, it's this thing that there's no real use for.
Yeah.
And somebody's going to be like, oh, that's a really cool idea. I should fund it. No.
Or that's a really cool idea. I should steal it.
Right. And in this case, they're stealing it. I don't know. This is the way of the internet, though. And if you can't... China does have some advantage there, though. Because don't they make everything?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, yeah, if they can manufacture for nothing.
That's because they don't pay anything.
That's true. That's true. I wonder where they get their suicide nets from, though.
Oh, my gosh.
I wonder if do they make them themselves or do they import those?
I think it's break time.
You think so?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we're going to go ahead and take a break. According to Tara, we don't want to talk about suicide nets on the Computer Guru Show. We'll be right back after these messages.
Your computer guru, Mike Swanson, is here to help you tame that beast of a machine. Join the chat right now at gurushow.com or call in. This is the Computer Guru Show on KVOY, The Voice.
I'm nerdy in the extreme and whiter than sour cream. I was in a V club and glee club and even the chess team. Only question I ever thought was hard was, do I like Kirk or do I like Picard? Spend every weekend at the Renaissance Fair, got my name on my underwear. They see me strolling, they laugh.
Well, that's an interesting story.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. The things we find right before we come back on air. By the way,
always right before that's not in the notes
yeah,
at all.
It's totally not in the notes. Wells Fargo lost their accreditation with the Better Business Bureau.
Yeah.
Man. Well, it's probably because they're being terrible human beings.
They're now rated C-.
That's no good. No good. 790-2040 if you want to be part of the show and talk about anything.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently we're talking about anything and everything today.
Just whatever. Yeah, just toss it out there. You can talk about whatever you want.
The tech show with things and stuff.
Yeah, we're easily distracted and diverted today, apparently. So Tesla says you can't use your self-driving car to be an Uber driver.
Yeah.
You know what my immediate response to seeing this was? Who do you know that owns a Tesla that would be doing Uber drives?
You never know. Could be some spare cash.
If you can afford a $100,000 car, you should not be driving for Uber. That's all I'm saying.
But what if you want to? What if you want to make friends, Mike?
I don't believe in friends. Oh, man.
I don't know.
So this has sparked an interesting debate, sort of, over whether or not Tesla has the authority to say you can't use your self-driving car for... Yeah, I guess that's me. You can't use your self-driving car for doing Uber stuff, ride-sharing stuff. And
yeah, I don't think they have the authority to do that, really.
Well, they have the authority to say you can't use their software to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
Meaning the as far as the self-driving features. Now, you can still use the Tesla all day long, I imagine. But now, Tesla says this is a liability issue. This is them saying we don't want to be liable for the potential death of one of your passengers as a result of some type of an auto drive error or an accident involving the autopilot feature. And I could be down with that.
Yeah, that's highly understandable.
And a lot of people are calling shenanigans, and they're saying this is not what it is. You know, this is just them protecting themselves because they're trying to create their own self-driving cars, ride-sharing service over at Tesla. Maybe, but I think that's a little too conspiratorial. I think that it's really the issue is, who is responsible for the medical bills of somebody who gets injured while using a rideshare service in a prototype vehicle, effectively. That the whole software, the autopilot feature is effectively beta still. So I think that's a liability issue, and I think that they're right on it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can disagree with me if you want over in the chat, or you can call in and tell me. But my feeling is I don't think that's going to be an issue as far as, I'm sure people are already trying to sue. And I'm mentioning in the chat, yes, there is the Model 3, which is going to be considerably cheaper and have the auto drive features. But as far as right now, no, I don't think anybody should be driving around in a Model S. Doing Uber rides. Although, I mean, it would be cool to get a ride from...
Yeah, it'd be cool. Maybe it could be a premium feature.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess that would qualify as the Uber Black or the...
Yeah, maybe.
Which is the kind of fancy cars.
I've used Uber all of once 2 years ago.
I use it all the time. I think it works out all right.
I don't think anyone really Ubers where I am. So I drive myself, and it's all good. I like my car. It's okay.
You're Uber far.
Yeah, I am Uber far.
Let's go ahead and take a call. Let's talk to Keith. Hello, Keith. How are you?
Doing pretty good.
What can I do for you?
Yeah, I seen a segment on 60 Minutes a couple of weeks ago about artificial intelligence and artificial emotional intelligence that's reading people's faces and expressions, through the camera.
Right.
And my concerns is this is one of the reasons they push Windows 10 out there with the mandatory updates and the cameras and all that. They get these things locked in on people's faces, they can read them.
Well, I don't know how. I don't think those two things are directly related in any way. I mean, cameras have been on computers for a long time, and for the most part, mandatory updates have been around since like XP era. So there are updates that get pushed whether or not you have updates turned on or not, depending on the severity of them. I don't think that those two things are directly related. And think of it this way. This whole artificial emotional intelligence, being able to read people's faces and figure out what they're feeling, they've had like voice commands around for 15 years, and they still can't do that right. So I imagine that that's going to be an interesting feature moving forward, but I don't think it has anything to do with the Windows 10 push.
Oh, okay. That was just my concerns. I started thinking, wow, what they could do with this stuff.
Well, they do make black tape. You can just put that over your camera.
I hear you. Okay. All right. Just wanted to know your thoughts on it, Mike. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the call.
My preferred method is a Post-it.
A Post-it?
A Post-it.
Well, they make little doors you can get, too.
I don't think I want to put in the money for that. I think I want to spend like 0.01 cent and put a Post-it on there.
Post-its work, and that way you don't end up with goo on your camera in case you do want to use it.
Yeah.
Eventually. Or you can do like what Howard does, which is just cuts the wires to the camera. Yeah. Just break the camera.
Good on you, Howard.
Yeah.
Camera-ectomy.
He has slightly extreme responses to things like cameras, so just mildly extreme.
Slight, it's okay.
Yeah, just ventilate the screen where the camera used to be. Yeah, that type of thing. To me, it's one of those things that I just don't care, and I probably should.
Yeah,
but the truth is, I'm like, whatever. I've never really been concerned about the whole webcam deal.
I use mine, so that's why I say Post-it. Because then I can just take it off and put it back on again. No big deal.
No big deal. That's it.
NBD.
Alrighty then. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and move along down our list here, just because, we need to actually do that. It's part of the show. It's the things that
why I build it every
why
week.
We're here to tell people about technology.
Mm-hmm.
So how about a cell phone bursting into flames and destroying a vehicle?
Was it a Samsung Note 7?
No, but it was a 7. It was an iPhone 7.
Oh.
Yeah. Apparently iPhones are blowing up too. I mean, I guess that's just
Isn't
what
this
happens.
the second or third one I've heard about
Just
now?
don't buy any 7 phones. That's really what it comes down to. And it's now a federal offense to have a Note 7 on an airline. By the way, if you
and Amtrak has now banned them.
Yeah, all mass transit and Note 7s. Yeah, federal offense. You're not allowed to basically bring those on the vehicle with you.
Get rid of it. If you have one, get rid of it.
I'm wondering. Do you think that that our weekly caller here? You think he got rid of his phone?
Nope, I don't think so.
But he still has it, huh?
Yeah. He seems to have a pretty analytical mind to me.
Yeah.
And I think he wants to see what happens.
He's playing the odds, you think?
Yeah. I think he has a hypothesis and he's sticking with it.
Hey, Mark, so let me know if you still have your phone. I'm really curious. I would just love to know.
So it burns up. Whoa, there we go. I knew it would do it.
So anyway, yeah, iPhone 7 burst into flames, destroyed vehicle. I mean, and this wasn't just a little bit. There was actual fire coming out of this thing.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good.
The guy that it happened to, though, he was funny to watch in the video because he's an Australian surfer.
Right.
So, yeah, I couldn't understand anything he was saying about the iPhone. I was trying to, but I couldn't.
So really what he said was he got his updates from the Apple Store and everything was fine, but it was translated through accent into, it burned my car down while I was surfing. No. Anyway, so not only the Note is bursting into flames is what we're getting at here.
Yeah, it seems like there's a problem somewhere that somebody needs to find.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe we should blame this on Wikipedia. That's what we should do.
Dang it, Wikipedia!
This is Wikipedia's fault for burning things down.
Burning down the house.
Oh yeah, speaking of, what song do we have queued up for the break here? Let's find out. We're gonna have Kent play it right now because we're gonna go ahead and take a break. It's not fire, but it's hot. It's red hot.
Kent
We'll be right back.
To the shindig, chop chop, it says I'm gonna win big. Choose not a life of imitation. Distant closer to the reservation. Deep funk the pistol that you pay for. This pump the feeling that you stay for.
Whether you're dealing with hardware installation or, heaven forbid, a virus,
No!
Mike Swanson is answering all your questions one by one. So call in or chat in with yours. The website, gurushow.com. Tune in, click in, and kick back. This is the Computer Guru Show on AM 1030 KVOY The Voice.
So it turns out that the U.S. government would like to read your tweets before they let you in the country.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is part of a vetting process just to find out, what are you tweeting, bro?
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you something here. And the only reason that I decided to include this today was because, on its face, it's nothing, right? It's just like, okay, whatever. Yeah, why don't we read the tweets? But doesn't that make you think that there might be some sort of a maybe behind-the-scenes push that's going to more permanently attach your digital identities to you? Because you could just say, I don't have a Twitter account.
Yeah.
Right, if you wanted to get around those types of things. If you stopped at customs and they were like, so, we need you to log into Twitter. My response would be like, no, right?
Yeah.
And if they wanted to push me on it, it'd be like, I just don't have one. Prove one belongs to me. So I guess the more concerning thing for me would be, I think that they have some type of a plan to figure out who belongs to what identity online for real.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure that there's enough metadata out there to make that happen, to figure out who belongs to what. But I don't know. I just don't like the idea of the whole government snooping, reading everything about me type thing. Now, not partially because I'm an American citizen and I benefit from all kinds of I have constitutional privilege according to the world, the rest of the world. And I'm not opposed to them reading the tweets of people coming inbound, but how are you going to figure out if that's really them? I guess that's the question.
Yeah.
So if you're going to figure that out, that means that you're probably going to put some sort of really gnarly and invasive algorithms into place, maybe, or some other way of tying people to those accounts. I don't know. It just seems to me like there's nefariousness at play. It's afoot.
It's afoot. Shenanigans afoot.
Shenanigans are afoot, I tell you. All right, let's talk to Jeff. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Lovely. What can I do for you?
Hey, love the show, Mike. I had two questions for you. The first one, probably about a month or two ago, you discussed Comcast and tracking, and you mentioned VPNs. I had a question about that. On one of my deal sites, one of the apps on my phone, it comes up with a couple that are showing VPN services lifetime for like $25 for some deal for a lifetime. One is called VPN Ghost. One is called One VPN. Are these like cheap knockoffs that shouldn't be even looked at, or are these legitimate?
I don't know that I trust anything that was $25 for life.
Yeah.
So, the only one that we've looked at was what was that thing called? Tunnel Bear? And I think that was the only one that we really liked. As far as, VPN services that seem to be all above board and mostly legit. So, I think Tunnel Bear was the only one that we've vetted and said we give the Guru stamp of approval to.
In Tunnel Bear, like the animal bear?
Yeah, like the animal.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming there's no free options in this for VPN hosts.
There are some free VPN hosts out there, but it's another one of those things. It's like, do you trust it? Depending on what you're doing over VPN, you might want to make sure that you're looking for something that's slightly more trustworthy.
Okay. So it pays to shop around and get a legitimate...
I think so. I mean, that's how I look at it anyway. I think anything that's going to end up being free is there's just likely no transparency. You don't know who owns it, where the servers are at, what pipelines they're using to transmit your data, whether or not there's a man-in-the-middle attack, which they could do. I would much rather see, a company that, first of all, is not in the U.S., or at least not homed in the U.S. The servers aren't in the U.S. You want them to be somewhere neutral-ish.
Okay.
And
lastly, on that subject, Comcast, do they even allow? Are you able to change the DNS servers in Comcast, or do they lock you out, or is that possible on any internet provider?
You can use any DNS provider you choose.
Okay.
I don't believe that there are any ISPs that lock you into their own DNS.
Okay.
So I don't think they're blocking UDP traffic like that, so I don't think that would be a problem.
Gotcha. And lastly, Mike, real quick, I have an 11-year-old son who's semi-interested in coding and working with computers. Do you have any free website options or any website options that aren't, too babyish but are geared towards kids?
Turns out Tara knows something about this.
What's that?
Wow, really? Code.org. Code.org is... Mm-hmm. My son uses it. It's a really good website for coding for kids, and it goes in steps from very, very basic to more advanced. The other one that you might want to look at is the Khan Academy, Khan, and those are also free courses. Free.
I like free.
Yeah, I do too.
Thanks, Tara.
You're welcome.
So thanks for the call, Jeff.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, get your kids to code, man. That's the only way that they're going to survive in the future.
Yeah,
I'm making this prediction officially today.
My son's been driving me nuts about his Raspberry Pi. He's built 5 different cases and then deconstructed them and reconstructed them out of Legos. And he's like, when am I going to get the peripherals? I'm like, when you earn some money by doing chores.
How old is he?
He's 7.
He's 7.
Mm-hmm.
He's coding.
He's been on code.org for the last 2.5, almost 3 years, yeah.
Wow.
He loves it. My daughter couldn't really care less. And she's 6.
Gotta love what you do, man.
Well, it's a good place to start. That's kind of how I started. Started coding when I was about that age, and that's the way you do it. And really, with things like automation coming, with things like I don't know, the way that the world is moving these days, to not sound like a crotchety old dude. You need to have some tech skill, and coding is one of those things that's a good place to go, right? Because you can develop an understanding of how technology works in a more broad method, and have a way to sort of have you can then focus down and do something very specific later, but at least that gives you a nice base.
And I like the way that code.org works, because the different programs that they have for the kids to work with have things like Frozen or Star Wars or Angry Birds or Plants vs. Zombies that they get to code.
I was waiting until you said Frozen, and then I was just getting
done. For people who like Frozen, for little kids who like Frozen, they have a Frozen option. They have Angry Birds and, all kinds of different little games they can make with those characters.
So they do things like, do you want to build a program?
Do you want to build a program?
Oh, man.
Come on, let's code.org.
Oh, you know what? They're gonna end up calling us. Oh, you go ahead and do that, because maybe they'll call us and be like, hey, we should get the Computer Guru Show to sponsor us, and we can give them money. That'll
cross promo.
There we go. That'll work. That way we can afford to keep this really expensive habit I have happening every week, which is I
don't know if it's a bad habit or a good habit, though.
It's a really expensive hobby, though.
Yes, it is.
This is like, there are expensive hobbies out there, like flying airplanes. That's an expensive hobby, right?
It's also something you like to do.
Which I haven't done in 2 years.
Yeah.
But, this show is more expensive than flying an airplane. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. It truly is the amount of money it costs me to do this show every week. So help us out on Patreon. You can go to gurushow.com/Patreon, and you can donate as little as $1 a month to help keep us on the air. Or you can go to the YouTube page.
The YouTubes.
Yeah. Go to the YouTubes and click on the subscribes button.
Yes.
Yes. Yeses.
Just mash it with your face.
That's right. Yes, you must mash it. Mash the button.
Mash twice.
That is correct. And while you're going to patreon.com/Guru Show,
yes,
and signing up to be a Patreon, we will take a quick break. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Computer troubles? Need some advice? Call in now. Mike Swanson will be back after these messages. The Computer Guru Show, AM 1030, KVOY, The Voice. Your technology guru, Mike Swanson, is answering all your questions one by one.
Yes, science!
So chime in with yours. The website is gurushow.com. Tune in, click in, and kick back. This is the Computer Guru Show.
So earlier we had a caller that brought up little things about artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And artificial intelligence is one of those things that I find fascinating. It's very interesting to see where that can go. Now, where do you fall on the spectrum? Are you excited for it, or are you terrified of it?
I think I'm right in the middle.
You think so? That's where I'm at, too. Because, there's all kinds of great things that could be achieved with artificial intelligence.
And yet.
Right. You could eradicate disease or poverty or any of these other things, but it could also bring, the eradication of people. Or
destruction of humankind.
Right. Well, you could have autonomous weapons that are being built by AIs, and ultimately, it's entirely possible that you can have an AI that develops a consciousness with goals and aspirations that are contradictory to our own or in conflict.
It's iRobot.
Yeah, well, I mean, sort of, yeah. And a lot of that sort of dystopian future, or movies where they talk about AI's gone wrong, I don't think that we should look at them and go, well, that's just fiction.
Yeah.
I think it's entirely possible that you could end up with some type of an artificial intelligence that decides that, even the Matrix, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you could have this AI that decides, well, you know what, you guys just aren't good for you, right? Let's go ahead and rein this in a bit here.
Yeah.
Or even, which Rob and I have talked about many times before, is the idea that you could have an AI that you build that is loyal to you, right? It is not on its own path. It's just like, hey, what do you want me to solve for you? And you say, I want you to bring about world peace, or you could basically ask it some sort of question where it needs to consume more resources to solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, what happens if it gets to the point where it consumes all of the resources in order to make an attempt to solve that problem and inadvertently kills us in the process?
Or for a question like world peace, if it found the answer was to eradicate half the world or something, that's not good either.
Well, that's sort of the idea that I have anyway. But there's a certain amount of, even if you go back to one of the oldest AI movies that I can think of, right, war games,
mm-hmm.
where its job was to figure out how to win in a nuclear war against Russia, right? It's the whole point of that AI was, well, let's go ahead and figure out how to do that. And eventually, it was going to nuke the world, and we'll have to go back and watch that one.
I've not seen it.
You have not seen the war games?
I haven't seen like 99% of movies. You know this.
Goodness, I'm shocked every time.
Anyway,
Anyway,
these days you won't be.
Google's DeepMind project, which is an AI, recently beat the world champion of the Go player.
I think so, or
what's it called? What's that software called, or the game called? It's a board game that is really hard to master, like impossible to master, and it takes them forever to learn how to play it. But the DeepMind managed to pull this off. Yeah, it's a board game called Go,
mm-hmm.
and it happened much faster. They were expecting that they wouldn't be able to beat a master player of this game for another decade, and already managed to pull that off. So persons like Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking are all about this. You guys should be careful about this whole AI thing. And there needs to be some real safeguards, because it's entirely possible that an AI would be able to get away from you and end you. Even the terrible movie Transcendence with Johnny Depp in it is about that very thing, about an AI that manages to escape, and what kind of havoc could be wreaked on the world by having a intelligence that is vastly superior to our own, because of just the amount of data that can be processed by computers, and releasing it on the world and wondering what it's going to do with us. And suddenly we become the lower on the food chain and on the spectrum of intelligence at that point, because the only reason that we're anywhere the apex, species that we are, is because we're smarter than everything else right now.
For the moment, yes.
Right, and as soon as you offer an AI the ability to be that smartest thing in the world, what does that really truly mean for us? I'm curious what people think about that. And let's take a call from Mark, because I asked him to call and find out if he got rid of his phone yet. Hello, Mark.
Hey, what I've heard is for the best world peas and quinoa and a little kale is the best smoothie, one of the best smoothies out there.
Oh, yeah?
When you talk about world peas. Anyway, you wanted an update on my phone.
Yeah, I want to see if you still had it.
Well, last week I was talking to you and it got really hot and started, catching on, burning up.
You were being real then, Mark. I know you were feigning fire last week, but I was just curious if you still had it, because now it's a federal offense to actually have it on public transportation.
Yes,
so I'm just curious.
And so I did have to get rid of it, and I got rid of it this last Tuesday, and took on the. Nobody had the Pixel XL.
Right.
So I do have 2 weeks from the day that I changed it to decide if I want to change it out again. So I ended up with a Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, which is far inferior to the Note 7.
Far inferior, okay.
Yes.
All right, well, I was just checking to see if you still had it.
So, what's new with the Galaxy, with the Pixel XL?
That Pixel looks like a really cool phone. But no, we don't know anything either, unfortunately.
Okay, all right. I've been trying to, reading up on it. There's positives and negatives. And anyway,
we'll see.
One of the negatives for me is it's not waterproof or water resistant.
This is true.
There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't have a stabilization in one of the camera functions.
I'm thinking that you probably shouldn't just throw your phone in water anyway. Just
That's
saying.
probably true, but I think it'd be cool to take photos of stuff or videos of stuff underwater.
It could be. All right, so we're going to take another caller, but thanks for the call, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
All right, let's move on to Tom. Hello, Tom. How are you?
Good, Guru. How you doing today?
I'm doing lovely.
Listen, I'm thinking about artificial intelligence. There's a new TED Talks piece on AI that I saw today, and it's very interesting. It talks about all the things that AI can do, but the speaker is talking about making sure we don't lose our individual moral compasses when we have AI become a bigger part of our lives. So it's at TED Talks. I don't know the name of the presenter, but it's at TEDTalks.com.
I'll look it up. We'll see if we can throw it in the show notes and see if we can put it out there for everyone to see.
Okay, thanks.
All right. And what do you think about the did you watch the talk? What did you think about the presenter?
AI is going to be part of our lives. I mean, Janet Yellen's going to give up being chairman of the Fed because they'll be able to figure out where the rate should go. All of that's happening, but we got to make sure we keep our own humanistic and moral compasses in place so we don't lose that. That's my point.
Yeah, well, and cars are going to have to make those decisions whether or not they're going to run people over too, right? There's these moral dilemmas when it comes to the AIs in general, just because you're dealing with another species. You're dealing with humans versus computers. So it'll be interesting. I'll watch that, and I'll put it out there on the notes for you.
Good. Thank you very much. Enjoy your show.
Thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it, and thanks for listening. Yeah, it's the whole AI bit is it's awe-inspiring and terrifying at the same time. And when you think that, considering the Internet of Things attack from yesterday, which took down the internet in most of the United States for a good portion of the day yesterday, and the vulnerabilities that exist in different types of technologies. What happens when you have not a human hacker that wants to get into different things to make things happen, but you have an AI which can really deconstruct things a lot faster, that would be able to wreak havoc upon the world, or it could make a change to any technological system that you rely upon. I mean, how many people now depend on their phones, or they depend on their ability to get online to do their job or find information or any of these other things? People are more and more dependent on technology and computer systems in general these days than they've ever been. And because it used to be that you could, when you left your house, you were out of communication, right? Nobody could call you. You didn't have a cell phone. They didn't exist.
Which was a little nice.
Which was pretty nice. I just emulate that now and have a cell phone. I never answer it. But there's a dependence on technology that is, under the right circumstances, really debilitating for everyone. Like, if the internet goes down, how do you function? Today, everybody's moving their stuff into the cloud. Everybody's, like yesterday, weren't able to take credit card transactions, or weren't able to access the programs that they used in order to do their job, just because of the internet being down. So there's a certain amount of, if you inject an AI into that, an open world AI that could decide on its own, well, you know what, I don't think humans should have internet access anymore, then what do you do then? And how do you unplug it? And that's sort of the larger questions that exist out there when people are dealing with general AIs, is that there is a danger involved with dealing with any type of artificial intelligence. And I mean, unless you program in the whatever same genes that our politicians have into them so that they can just be occasionally stupid, I think that there's you got to have a kill switch.
Yeah.
Maybe thermite detonators. The problem is it'll probably copy itself to somewhere else, and
yeah, it'll find a way. Life always finds a way.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Even artificial.
Let's take a minute to mention our sponsors. That would be Perfection Auto Works. And our Patreon sponsor,
Desert Pro Commercial Cleaning LLC. Find them at TucsonDesertPro.com.
If you want to support the show, please do so. You can go to patreon.com/Guru Show. You can give us a call down at the shop at 304-8300 or email us at radio@azcomputerguru.com. See you next week. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Computer Guru Show. If you did, please consider sharing it with your friends and subscribing to this channel if you haven't already. Your subscription helps us reach new audiences and expand the show in new directions. Please also consider supporting us on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can help the Computer Guru Show expand into a longer format, as well as support the production of new content for this channel. Links are in the description below, and thank you again. We'll see you next week.